Marvel's Avengers sucked. Now, I realize that's easy to say because the general reception, well, let's just say, left more to be desired. When the game was coming out, I, like many other people, was excited for the game's release. A multiplayer game where you play as one of the Avengers? Sign me up. Oh, there's going to be updates over the course of several years? Alright, I'm even more hyped. But eventually, reality started to set in. Square Enix started to follow the common trend of every video game pipeline, which is a soulless 60-hour long open world light RPG, or B, a live service multiplayer with a roadmap and constant updates that you'll be lucky to even play because they release all of them almost completely broken. I'm looking at you, Payday 3!
Oh no. There you are, you stinking bilge rats! Stop playing that music! Stop it, please! I'm begging ya!
Marvel's Avengers fell victim to the same greedy business practices of every popular game right now. Boring level design, uninspired enemies to fight, a lame generic story that gets drip-fed through DLC, and I have to pay for the skins? Wait, is this Fortnite?
Fortnite.
What's even more baffling than anything, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy came out the exact same year. A linear, single-player game that I'll admit, sure, it wasn't perfect, but I had a much more fun-filled experience playing it than I did with Marvel's Avengers. Definitely a quality over quantity situation. I'd rather spend 10 to 20 hours playing a game with fun gameplay, a compelling story, interesting characters, than have to end up with a game with endless gameplay that involves leveling up, collecting gear, and listening to the same dialogue over and over and over and over again until the end of time.
Do you think I should get a cape?
Well, that's my thing.
Huh. I thought hammers were your thing. So how did you go incognito in New York? No one recognized you?
It was simple. I left the hammer and wore a different shirt.
That's all it took.
I also told them my name was not Thor.
That completed the rules, I believe.
Have you gotten into the system yet?
No, I panicked the last time I had a chance. Plus, I think he's got Jarvis watching out for edits to his playlist.
Remember, this isn't just for you. Tony's tyranny over the music selection must end.
Now I know I'm getting a little heated, but it's only because this game was such a missed opportunity. Like I said, I was extremely excited for this game. It could have been something amazing. And if it isn't obvious, I'm going to be ragging on this game a bunch, so if you're an Avengers apologist...
Here's my home address. 10880 Malibu Point, 90265.
And I want to make it clear I'm not going in any particular order of grievance either. I mean, to be honest, the whole game is a grievance. It's like stubbing your toe or getting a pimple in that weird crevice between your nose and your face. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So there's going to be a lot of complaining. And if you don't like that...
we do not care.
So, I'm sure you're curious about the story, right?
No, not really.
The story. What story? This excuse of a story feels like a rejected Marvel script. Basically, it starts with Kamala Khan, which is the game's first mistake, I'm sad to say. Because I really love her in the comics and even the Disney Plus show, despite the show not being great either. But you start as a neutered, watered-down version of Kamala Khan, who meets neutered, watered-down versions of famous Avengers characters. Dr. George Tarleton and Monica are the bad guys, and while, the more interesting villains like Taskmaster and Abomination are sidelined in these laughable excuses for boss fights. And, just to make a short story shorter, without all the stupid padding side quests. Let me just speed run this for you really quickly. So the Avengers developed a new source of energy with Tarleton, and they call it Terrigen. Tarleton doesn't think it's ready to be shown to the public, but the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. basically force Tarleton to present it, which is just a genius idea. I mean, wouldn't you present Chernobyl levels of irradiated energy to the masses? And how does Kamala fit into all this? Well, she's a finalist for a fan fiction competition.
What? What the fuck?
You can't make this up. So, clearly it goes wrong, the Terrigen reactor becomes unstable and explodes and gives a lot of people superpower disease. These people are then eventually called the Inhumans, and I hope you like the Inhumans, because the game will not shut up about Inhumans. You know, even though it's a Avengers game. Anyways, there's a massive explosion, and Cap is killed in the process. Everyone blames the Avengers for the event, despite the fact that Taskmaster was there fighting them. The Avengers disband, called the tragedy A-Day. Stark Industries gets liquidated, turned into AIM, and Tarleton takes control of the company, which just makes no sense. And Kamala grows up with superpowers. Ugh. Okay. Now get this. To get the ball rolling on this plot, you want to know what she does? I'm telling you, you're not going to believe it. She's looking for evidence against AIM on Reddit, and happens to come across a link that leads to Tony Stark's archives on Reddit. But that's not even the best part. It needs a password. So Kamala tries to think of what it could be. And she tries and tries again, and eventually she's going to get locked out of the account. Ooh, we might not get the precious story of Avengers. But no. Luckily enough, she has the foresight to look at a poster in her room. Guess what the poster says? I am Iron Man. So, Tony Stark, Iron Man, the billionaire genius, has a password like I am Iron Man. Wow, I guess Avengers 1, 2, 3, 4 was just too hard for him to remember. I mean, God, somebody got paid to write that. Moving on, Kamala collects evidence that could prove the Avengers are innocent, but AIM shows up to stop her, and she runs away from home to find the Avengers. And since the rest of the story is absolutely useless, boring crud, that's basically set dressing for these glorified birthday party superheroes, I'm gonna speedrun the rest. Kamala finds Hulk. Hulk turns back into Banner. Kamala tells him there's evidence that Tarleton set off the Terrigen reactor himself. Banner and Kamala travel across the country to find Jarvis. Then Iron Man, who contacts S.H.I.E.L.D., gets S.H.I.E.L.D. back. Then suddenly the abandoned helicarrier is back in action, where you can buy your wonderful, beautiful, totally not predatory microtransactions in the meantime. From there, the Avengers rejoin one by one as you play through Apathy, the video game.
Apathy is death. Worse than death. Because at least a rotting corpse feeds the beasts and insects.
In the meantime, Monica is poisoning Tarleton with Terrigen, and somehow he has no idea, even though his head is more swollen than the egos of the executives that thought this game would sell itself. Anyways, once his head is the size of the Goodyear blimp and he can control all kinds of technology by wiggling his fingers, only then does he realize what she's doing and kills her. Or did he? No time to think about it. We're going to the moon. Why? To save Cap, of course. That's right. The Star-Spangled Man never actually died, and instead was put on ice in space. Well, then I guess technically we're not going to the moon. But we're going to space. What do we get to fight? Who do we get to see? There's got to be a villain guarding Cap's body that we have to fight, right? Oh, what's that? More aim bots? Really? Wow. No, yeah. I mean, I love fighting aim bots. Well, after more tedium, we get Cap back, blah blah blah, yada yada. Then we get to the final confrontation. It's the Avengers versus Tarleton. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean MODOK, which is the name he suddenly chooses for himself out of nowhere. What does MODOK stand for, you ask? Mechanized organism designed only for killing. Yeah. Where'd he get the name from? Who knows? He just comes up with it out of the blue. Anyways, who cares? I mean, it's the end game now, right? Not that end game. The Avengers go to fight MODOK, and guess what? They don't. I'm just kidding. You do fight MODOK as Kamala, while she's in like a kaiju-sized form, and MODOK is controlling this Kree Sentry thing, which, you know, is kind of like this cheap insert for the developers to hint at possible DLC because, you know, they couldn't have just put Captain Marvel in the game. And, you know, I definitely want to sink 20 more hours into this rock'em sock'em robot simulator. Anyways, Kamala wins, goes home, and is inducted as a team member of the Avengers. Oh, and plot twist, Monica is alive, and the one we saw die earlier was a clone. Get it? Got it? Good. Whew. Okay. So, what to say? This story could have been so much more if not for the live service crap being shoved into our faces. I mean, imagine an actual, genuine coming-of-age story surrounding Kamala with a skill tree and playstyle specific to her, similar to how Star-Lord is in Guardians of the Galaxy. But no. Instead, why don't you spend $10 on this skin, or, you know, maybe buy the DLC, which, speaking of, let me tell you all about the great DLC that Avengers has released. DLC number 1, Kate Bishop DLC. Number 2, Hawkeye DLC. And number 3, Black Panther DLC, with other Avengers kind of sprinkled throughout. And the DLC characters they added were basically just clones of each other. So you've got Mighty Thor. You've got Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, who are basically the same person. Then you have Buggy Barnes, or the Winter Soldier, who is basically Black Widow, but extremely slow. And I cannot stress this enough. You do not want to play as the Winter Soldier. Just please, save yourself the time. He has nothing but a burst rifle and the slowest attacks out of all the Avengers. Please, I have to stress this, and don't even play the game. Why am I saying this? Don't play the game. Well, if I had to rank them, if I had to rank the big chunks of DLC they came out with, it would go Hawkeye, Black Panther, Kate Bishop. Hawkeye was the most interesting because you get to fight Hulk in his role as Maestro, which was actually pretty cool and genuinely felt cinematic at moments, especially when you're playing with your friends. But then you got the Black Panther DLC, which was extremely repetitive. You were basically playing domination for most of the time, so you would go and cover these little sections of the map, but, you know, it really didn't play like domination because it's not a multiplayer game of like COD or Battlefield. You're standing in one place and protecting it from waves and waves of spider robots and these random soldiers, these faceless soldiers. Despite that, the boss fight is somewhat fun. It separates the Black Panther from the rest of the Avengers to fight the main bad guy, who is Claw, which is a cool dynamic. Plus, they got Christopher Judge to play T'Challa.
Boy, this way, boy. Slow down, boy. We do what we please, boy. Boy, look at me, boy. Inside, boy. Boy.
Are they dead? I mean, more dead?
Boy.
So, I mean, they got that going for them. And finally, Kate Bishop, which is probably the most forgettable of the bunch. The only thing that this one had going for it is the fact that Ashley Birch is playing Kate, who is Ironically, not the coolest archer I've seen her play. Shout out Horizon. But okay, maybe you're saying, oh, hey, I'm not playing for the story. I just want to play as my favorite Avenger. Well, alright then, fine. I hope you're okay with them being insanely underpowered, because I was playing through the game with my friends, and one of them made the dire mistake of choosing the Hulk as his character. And guess who was getting killed the most often? Let me give you a hint. It wasn't the woman wearing a leather suit with no armor and dual pistols. Yeah, the Hulk was the one in the need of most revives. At this time, I would like to pose a question. Why? This Hulk? This Hulk. This Hulk.
Hulk smash, little man! Little man, leave Hulk alone! Hulk is strongest there is!
This game has a horrible power scaling system. The Avengers, a team of some of the most extraordinary superheroes ever, can die to an aim robot who happens to be too high of a level. For example, one day I was playing as Thor, doing my thing, flying through the air, wind, breeze, having a great time, fighting robots, and when I tell you that I was taking off slivers of health at a time, I mean slivers. But then, out of nowhere, one of the robots shoots a beam at me and obliterates my health bar. They one-shot killed the God of Thunder. One more time, I would like to pose a question. This Thor. This Thor? This Thor.
Feel the centuries overwhelm you. Overwhelm? Passage of time only makes Asgardians more powerful. Takes the time stone yourself.
This game is so obsessed with its own longevity as a live service, it forgets that it's a game about superpowered beings. The gameplay can be fun at times, when you're with friends, but guess what? Any game you play with friends can be fun. The takedowns are fun to play with, but eventually you see them so often that they start to feel boring and samey. It's like watching a magician. You see him pull a rabbit out of a hat, then some flowers out of a hat, then some doves out of his hat. Eventually, it's gonna get old, and you're gonna realize it's a cheap trick to make you keep coming back to the show. But you know what? Okay. Maybe you're stubborn. Maybe you don't want to feel like you wasted your money. And maybe you're here for the skins. Well, how are the skins? You see, that depends on the character. As it looks like the devs decided that some characters only needed, the most important costumes that they've ever worn in comic book canon. And others, have a list about as long as the Bible. And so many of these placeholder suits as costumes look absolutely horrendous. I mean, you needed a steampunk reskin? Really? Volcanic? What a joke! They even have costumes approved by Dr. Umar Johnson. But maybe I'm being too harsh. There are some that I like. But guess what? Most of the suits that I liked are from Marvel movies. That's not a good thing. In comparison, I could look at Batman Arkham Knight. Now, yeah, sure, the movie suits in that game are really cool, and I could definitely wear it for most of the game. However, there are suits that aren't movie adaptations that look just as cool, if not cooler than the movie counterparts. Each of the suits look like they were handcrafted, given equal amounts of detail and design. Some of them were callbacks to the comics, and some of them are callbacks to the movies and TV shows. And they're all immaculate. What does Avengers do? Oh, you want to see one of Iron Man's most iconic designs in comic book history? Nah, we'll just toss a bunch of reused, recolored textures together.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Oh, you want to see Black Panther's...
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
Oh. But hey, maybe you remember this one comic book when Captain America turned into a werewolf. That was interesting, right? That was interesting. I bet you can't wait to see what the devs came up with. Let me show you.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
And I can already predict somebody trying to defend this. Man, you can't compare Avengers to Batman. Rocksteady only had to design for one person. Crystal Dynamics had to design for multiple. Oh yeah? Fine. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Gotham Knights did something right.
Well, why are you pulling me? I'm right.
Now hold on, hear me out. Now, personally, do I think that the game should have been a gear-based RPG? Of course not. But look at each piece of gear. You could pretty much make your own supersuit. Plus, some of the gear at least has elemental effects, so it varies up the gameplay. You know what? Marvel's Avengers actually has a similar gear system. But guess what? You can't see the gear you equip. Oh yeah, I just love giving the Hulk a brand new rib cage so his level can go up. And I know exactly why they did it. It was a clear ploy by Square Enix to make the players buy the skins in the game. Oh, and one more comparison to Arkham Knight. The DLC suits that you could buy didn't exceed $5. But you have to pay $10 to look like you fell into a paint factory when you buy a skin for Avengers. So if you aren't playing for the story, if you aren't playing for the gameplay, the characters, or the designs, then why are you playing it? Oh, right. You aren't. Yeah, that's right. As of writing this script, Marvel's Avengers was pulled off of digital storefronts. And, if we're lucky, all the copies that were made physically are tossed out in the trash somewhere, never to be seen again. I just want you to imagine a game so bad, so bland, that it was played by no one, which forced Square Enix to sell the game at almost a 100% discount before they removed it from stores. Which, I won't lie to you, is how I got the game. I didn't buy it at launch because I knew exactly what it was, but I did play it when it was on Game Pass, so I played it for free. Then, I finished it when it was $4 in the store, and I bought it again. But yeah, I did buy it for $4. And you know what? To tell you the truth, it isn't even worth that. This is probably one of the saddest game releases I've ever seen. It's not sad for Square Enix particularly. I feel bad for the players. Because the people who bought it at launch, they're the ones who were buying the skins and, playing all the different content that they were putting out. And Square Enix is now taking their money, essentially, and running with it. They had to buy the DLC. I bought the definitive edition of Avengers, which came with all the skins and all the DLC, for $4. The people who bought it at launch will never get that money back that they paid for skins, for DLC, for any of the new characters, none of that. So, to close out this video, because I'm genuinely exhausted of talking about this dumpster fire, this game could have been so much more. But misguided development and greedy executives made their beds. And now, they get to lie in it. I mean, seriously, dude, how is a 6-year-old game about Legos better than this one? Well, we've got to the end of the video. Thank goodness. I want to thank everybody for watching and supporting the channel, and please like and subscribe for more content like this. Type something down in the comments. Could be anything. It could be how much you despise the game. It could be what skin you thought was the coolest. It could be your favorite color, or I don't know, an animal that you could definitely take in a fight. Mine is a goldfish. Okay, bye.